So what the Calypso healing method is all about is really gaining an understanding of the mental and emotional root cause and healing those wounds, rewriting that story for yourself while you simultaneously create better habits, support your mental and physical health and your well-being. It's like the traumas put us in a prison, but when we're adults, we're literally holding the key and we've got to get ourselves out. So we'll run through it again and just give a little bit more detail on each step. So C is check your triggers. So really like take note of the circumstances that get you negatively emotionally charged. Look for patterns, what gets you all upset. It's usually a running theme. And then A, ask for the lessons. So when you're emotionally heightened or you're triggered, think you have to pause, like, what's in this situation for me? What do I have to learn from this situation? I got so upset over this. What can it teach me? Point the finger at self. We're not talking about actual dangerous situations. So it's really important here to ask empowering questions about yourself. It's very easy for us to blame and say, so and so did something. They may have just said something, but why did you get upset about it? Caveat, you're not in an actually dangerous situation, right? Listen for the answers. So really make time to listen for the answers. They can show up in your meditations or your dreams, conversations, synchronicities, you will know. But it's very helpful to make time for silence and connection in your day so that you can hear your inner voice. And then yearn for the root. So you really want to know, like, what is this trigger? What's this lesson? Like, what's it really about? No one's arguing about the dishes because it's actually about the dishes. Big clue here likely goes back to childhood. The trigger is just the spark. That's really just the tip of the issue. The real issue is the first time this situation happened. Like, when was the record put on a record player or something similar to it? That's the root, and that's what we want to get to the heart of. And then pain or purpose, when you do steps 1 through 4, so it's decision time. Do you want to keep hurting or do you want joy? Do you want to keep living in this pain, perpetuating this cycle, or do you want to get out of this loop? Use this pain for a greater purpose. Maybe make a decision, and it's got to be one way or the other. And then step into solutions. So when you decide to use this pain for your greater purpose, this is really you deciding to heal. And when you're triggered again, because you will be, except there's not going to be a calendar reminder that says, hey, next Tuesday, a trigger is coming for you, watch out. The point is that in you deciding to heal, you're deciding to show up as a different person. And so when you're triggered again, you really have to make a conscious and intentional choice to have a different thought, an improved thought, hopefully, a better reaction to it, better actions after. If we continue to do the same responses, we're continuing the pattern. And then outshine your former self, commit to your improvement, like keep making decisions that keep you on your path of healing. One day you'll look up and really not recognize who you used to be because you've come so far. And those things that used to trigger you, those are things of the past. You don't even think to have a reaction to them anymore. That's how insignificant they can become. So I'll show what it looks like to put this into practice in life to heal from my own trauma. So anytime I would think about my childhood, I would just have this emptying out feeling from the breasts down. So see, check your triggers. Well, there was like some pre-work, right? So some people who have experienced sexual abuse or grew up in abusive households, there can be disassociation from the body. Something's happening to the body. So it's like the mind and the body are separating because there's not safety. So that pre-work was really kind of, I think that's what really helped with yoga, was helping me get back into my body and to pay attention to my body and to feel the safety inside of my body. So once I was safe inside of my body, now I'm not feeling safe again because I'm having this trigger, right? But I was making the connection like, oh, every time I feel this emptying out feeling, that trigger, that's my body's response. Then I would really have to pause, ground and pause, not just react and say, well, Salima, what were you just thinking about? Or what were we just talking about? And in some way, like all of the thoughts, those were always connected to my childhood. So ask for the lessons, like, okay, I feel the trigger. I know this is about my childhood. The empowering question for me, it's very simple. It doesn't have to be deep. What do I do about this? I did not want to stay in this place where I didn't have control over my body because of something that happened in the past. And then listen for the answers. I think we spend a lot of time asking, a lot of time mentally asking, spirit, source, God, whatever it is that you refer source energy to. Like, what do I do? What do I do about this? And the secret is to get quiet. The secret is to find some sort of way to quiet yourself. And so that's when I developed and got serious about my meditation practice. I was also journaling more, went quiet. So it was a sad time, but a deeply reflective time that I needed in order to connect with an inner me that I didn't really know. Can't ask questions and then also not get quiet when we really want the answer to those questions. So getting quiet is really what that listen for the answers step is about. And then yearn for the root. So I knew I was molested, but I had this lingering feeling that something more had happened. And I remember saying to a friend in college 5 years prior, I don't know what impulse got over me, but I barged into her room. She lived across the hall from me. And I just started verbally vomiting my childhood. And maybe because that was the first time I left home. So it was like suddenly this outward processing of everything that I had lived for the past 18 years. And something at the end of our conversation, I remember saying to her, I think something else happened to me, but I am not ready to know what. Well, in my yearn for the root step, this is when I'm telling myself, I was like, all right, I think I'm strong enough. I'm ready to know the truth. God, spirit, source, energy said, I want to know. And shortly thereafter, the full repressed memory of me being raped around 4 or 5 years old, that resurfaced in a dream. And the minute I woke up, I was like relieved, to be honest. Because for years, 18 prior to this, oh, wait, no. That was when I'm trying to get y'all the time right, the timeline. 18, I verbally vomited and said, I'm not ready to know what. 10 years later, 28 is when I said, oh, I'm ready to know. Yeah, 10 years ago, I was 28. I said, oh, I'm ready to know. And that's when it resurfaced. 10 years went by, me feeling in pain. So the minute I woke up, I was honestly relieved because for 10 additional years, I had been haunted by the shadow of it. And now I could just view it in the light. And now it's pain of purpose. So this was my decision time. What do I do? And so I got up immediately and I went to the living room and I wrote everything down. And when I was done writing, I just kind of like sat there, stared off into space, and really asked myself this question. It's like, what am I going to do? And just played out different scenarios. Like, okay, well, do I fall apart? Play that out. Do I lash out, get angry, just blow up at everybody? Play that out. And I really just thought about everything that I'd already been through, how I'm feeling right now, playing out a future of lashing out and becoming more angry, more resentment, all of that. And I was like, that's not going to lead me anywhere. And so I got up immediately and I went to the living room and I wrote everything down. And when I was done writing, I just kind of like sat there, stared off into space, and really asked myself this question. It's like, what am I going to do? And just played out different scenarios. Like, okay, well, do I fall apart? Play that out. Do I lash out, get angry, just blow up at everybody? Play that out. And I really just thought about everything that I'd already been through, how I'm feeling right now, playing out a future of lashing out and becoming more angry, more resentment, all of that. And I was like, that's not going to lead me anywhere. I'm already in pain. I've already wasted enough time. So that was when, like, nope, I'm just going to heal. Just going to heal and I'm going to do whatever it takes. And that really did just open up into this credible path of purpose and eventually helping other people do the same. And then it was step into solutions. So it's like, okay, I've decided, again, you're one decision away from changing your life. I decided I'm going to heal. And everyone knows, I think everyone already knows, you all are so smart. Everyone knows what they need to work on. And because you have done your listen for the answers stage, you're getting quiet, you're practiced in sitting with yourself and letting answers rise to the surface. I knew it's like, I need to work on my voice. I already know this. Anytime that I would talk, I would just have this lump in my throat. I would just feel so fearful. And that's a very common experience of people who also grew up in similarly traumatic environments, because you know something is happening that's not supposed to be happening. Nobody's talking about it. Like your throat chakra, your throat just gets all locked up. So anytime, like I'm definitely not as chatty. Was definitely not as chatty then as I am right now. So my voice was just so locked up. So I knew internally, I knew I was like, oh, I got to work on my voice. I have to be able to speak and to express myself. And so, what's really awesome about this step is that in you knowing what you need to work on, because it's the thing that's getting in your way, right? And you've already said and set a very clear intention that you're going to heal. Oh, how the world, like the universe conspires with you. And I can remember just back to back, I was like, all right, I'm going to do the brave work and actually start talking, like speaking authentically, like just telling my truth and not feeling like the world's going to blow up. And so there was just these organic conversations I can remember back to back to back, like who I was talking to. And in that moment, hearing that inner voice say, Salima, now it's time to share your story. And being like, you feel the lump rise all the way up. But it's like you said you wanted to heal. This is the internal conversation. You said you wanted to heal, you're supported, you can do it. And then you start speaking. And that just happened. It just kept happening. And what's beautiful about it is that you'll find yourself in this situation to do what you said you wanted to work on. Then you do it. It feels terribly uncomfortable. Then you do it, you find yourself in the situation again, you do it again, it feels less uncomfortable. Then it happens again, less uncomfortable. So it's like each time it happened, you literally get to witness yourself healing. You literally get to witness, like, oh, I don't feel as triggered. The lump's not as big. I told the story again. World didn't blow up. Like, you really actually get to see yourself getting stronger, feeling more confident. Like, that's what healing is feeling and sensing like how you're closing your gap. You're like, this is how I used to be. This is where I know I want to go. And that gap is getting close. Like, just you're getting closer and closer to who you say you want to be and how you want to feel. And that's the magic. Like, that's so powerful. People are always thinking about, well, when I'm healed, some destination. It's like, no, this is what it means to have joy in the journey. Because you know what it feels like to be in your body when these situations arise. And then when it happens again, and you're like, oh, I don't feel like that anymore. I don't feel like that anymore. That feels so, 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 so good. And so just treasure that. And then outshine your former self. That's honestly like, keep going. Keep doing that daily work. I think so many people, they're like, oh, I feel so good. Because I definitely did this too. I was like, oh, I feel good. I don't need to do any of those practices anymore. Oh, that's such a silly thought. It's such a silly thought to think that we don't need to keep doing the practices that we've done that have helped us get us to this stronger place. Because if we live long lives, right? I'm 40, that was 28. I'm 40, I'm going to be 43 next month. You live life, more things happen. So maybe not the same things, but there's new situations, and those same practices that help you overcome these triggers from your childhood are going to be those same practices that help support and bolster you when there's new life experiences. If you live a long life, we're all going to then experience losses. We're going to experience tragedy. We're seeing it right now globally, right? So maintain your practices, because what I have seen and experienced too, I start my practices, feel good. It's like you have some momentum, so you keep feeling good, but then some challenge happens, and then slowly you just start to feel weakened again. And so you don't want to make that mistake. I see a lot of people make that same mistake that I made too, where it's like meditation, non-negotiable. Like my herbal practice, non-negotiable. I never stop those things because I know how far they got me, and I know what happens when I stop them, and I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not wasting that kind of time anymore. I want to continue to feel strong because I know there might be something around the corner that's really challenging. So just keep keep going. Keep going.